What's up, guys? So here in front of me, I have a very old receiver, but it's also my new receiver. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Haterade Cowboy, and in this video, I'm going to tell you why I'm upgrading my old receiver to a new old receiver. This one right here. And I'm going to tell you what I'm going to be doing with it. Let's get to it. All right, guys, well, here in front of me, I have an old receiver. Maybe, I want to say it's from 2012, maybe 2011. It's a pretty old receiver. So this is a Marantz SR6010, and I'll try to look up the stats on this and let you know when it was actually manufactured, but it's a pretty old receiver. But it still has a lot of the newer technology that you're gonna find on receivers that are even still 5 or 6 years old. So it does 4K, it does HDR, it has BT 2020, it does chroma sampling 444. It's a 9.2 channel receiver, and I think it even has either 11 or 13 channel pre-outs. So let me give you some backstory on this receiver. So a good friend of mine, his boss was throwing away a bunch of equipment because he was moving, and this receiver does not work. It has power, it can get power, but it doesn't stay on. And he was just gonna get rid of it. And when I found out that he was getting rid of it, I told my friend, I said, hey, hold on, stop the press, hold the horses, please don't throw this away, because it can probably be fixed for very little. So let me actually plug it up so you can see what it's doing. Okay, so I have it plugged up, and if you'll notice, it'll turn on, it gets power, and it stays on for a couple seconds, and then it shuts off, and then all I get is a red blinking light, and it just stays like that. Now, I've done a deep dive on the internet. I searched Google, I searched YouTube to find the issue, or find a similar issue with this model. I didn't really find the same issue with this model, but I found the same issue amongst other models in the Marantz lines. So I'm pretty sure it's probably the same thing. It's probably just a power supply issue. The power supply just needs to be replaced. I'm not sure how long this receiver has been out of commission, but I also did go and I did find the manufacturer reset. There's a couple buttons that you have to press in a specific sequence. You hold it down for, I think it's like 5 or 6 seconds, and then it actually reboots, and the manufacturer reset settings come up, and it actually goes through the process, but then it turns off again. So it's obviously something to do with the power. Like I said, it's probably just a power supply, but I did call one of my local repair shops that repairs electronics and receivers, and they said it's gonna be $200 for labor and whatever parts need to be replaced. So that's super cheap when you think about it. This is a $1,400 receiver MSRP. It was given to me for free, and all I have to do is pay $200 to get it fixed, and I'm gonna be good to go. So what I'm gonna be doing with this is I'm gonna be upgrading my living room setup, and I think I'm gonna start a new series as well. I don't know what I'm gonna call it yet. I'm thinking I'm gonna call it maybe Hodge Podge Home Theater. I know that sounds super corny, but the reason why I'm calling it Hodge Podge is because I'm just gonna be using all the spare equipment that I have, some of the equipment that I have for review, and some of the existing equipment that I have, speakers at least. They're not timber matched, they're not even the same line, they're not even the same manufacturer. I have Polk, and then I have those ELAC bookshelf speakers that I am currently reviewing. I'm actually finished the review, I just gotta make the video, so hopefully I'll come out with that maybe in a few weeks, maybe or a month. And then I also have the Yamo bookshelf speakers that I haven't even hooked up yet. I need to hook those up, I need to get those reviewed. They're not gonna stay in my theater, but I'm probably gonna end up just using them outside in my living room setup. So that's why I'm calling it Hodge Podge, because it's just going to be a mix of speakers. And then I'm going to upgrade my Pioneer, which I'll show you my living room setup in a little bit. But I want to upgrade that because I only have 3 speakers out there right now. I just have the left, center, and right connected. And I don't really use my living room setup very much, except during COVID. Since COVID, the last couple of years, I have used my living room setup a lot more. So that's why I want to upgrade it and get a better experience, get a Dolby Atmos experience. It's not going to be, you know, full 7.1.4 or 7.2.4. It's just going to be the 9 channels. I'm not even going to have any external amplification. I'm just going to use this thing. But I want to show you, I want to start that series because many of you may be just getting started on your home theater journey. You might have a living room that you want to, you know, kind of upgrade, but maybe you don't necessarily want to throw thousands of dollars into that thing. I know I decided that all my expensive equipment, all my money towards home theater is going to go to my dedicated home theater. And then my living room setup is just going to be, you know, whatever I can put out there because it's not that important to me. 99% of the time I'm watching TV, I'm watching movies, I'm gaming in here in my home theater, my dedicated theater space. But I do want to upgrade that so that I have a little bit better experience. And you might be in the same situation. You may have a bunch of mixed speakers that you don't know what to do with, that are just lying around and you want to use them. And that's okay. Should you go with a timber matched, you know, line from one manufacturer? Yes, if you absolutely have the means and the funds, you should do that because that's going to be the best experience that you're going to get with panning and, you know, Dolby Atmos, DTS:X, Oro 3D. If you have it, all that stuff flying around, it's all going to sound the same when it's timber matched and it's the same line, or if you have the same, or if you have speakers from the same manufacturer. But sometimes you don't have that option and you might be scared because you've heard that you shouldn't do that. And yes, ideally you shouldn't, but sometimes you just have to use what you have. So I'm going to start a new series on that, and I'm going to, you know, it's probably going to be like episode 1, episode 2, so forth. I don't know how many episodes it's going to be, but I'm going to show you how I'm going to upgrade, as well as the challenges with speaker placement, because it's a living room setup, it's an open floor plan, and it is not ideal for speaker placement, at least to Dolby Atmos spec. So I'm going to show you all that stuff. It's probably going to be over the course of a few months, maybe even this year, because I'm not going to be able to do it all at one time. The first step is going to be taking this receiver to the repair shop, getting it repaired, and then I can go from there. But I'm very excited because I've never had Marantz. I've never heard Marantz or Denon. The only receivers that I've ever used are the Pioneer that I have out in my living room. I've had 3 Onkyo receivers. I've had the TX SR608. I've had the TX NR 1009, and then I've also had the TX NR 1030. And then I'm currently using an Anthem MRX 720 in my home theater. So this will be my 4th receiver manufacturer that I'll be trying out. And I'm super excited because I know a lot of people love the Marantz and Denon, and I've heard good things about it. And this thing is pretty, this is still better than my Pioneer SE95 that I haven't exactly been happy with. But I'm going to show you guys my living room setup. I'm going to show you all the stuff that I have that I'm using out there. And then I'm going to give you an idea of how I want to expand my living room setup to a 5.1.2 Dolby Atmos setup. So hopefully this video will help you guys out if you're just getting started and you're like me and you have just a hodgepodge of speakers that you want to use in your living room setup. So now let's go out to the living room so I can show you my living room setup and what I'm going to be doing to upgrade that. Hey, what's up? You've made it this far in the video, so welcome to the channel and thank you for watching. If this is your first time visiting the channel and you're enjoying the content that I produce here, why don't you go ahead and do me a solid, hit the subscribe button, let your friends know about the channel, and hit the bell notification so you know when I post new content. And if you're enjoying this video, why don't you go ahead and hit the like button. It'll help the channel grow and I would greatly appreciate it. All right, well, I guess that's it. I'll let you get back to the video. All right, guys, so this is my living room setup, and it's nothing fancy at all by any means. Like I said before, I'm not about to deck out this living room space. I'm not gonna pour in, you know, hundreds or thousands of dollars into this setup, because I have a dedicated home theater, and that's where most of my money, all of my money pretty much is gonna go. I'm just wanting to upgrade my living room equipment, my living room setup, to try to give it a little bit better experience when I do sit down, because it's really lacking right now. It doesn't sound very good. So let me just get into the equipment that I'm using. So down here, and you'll have to excuse the missing door. It broke when I moved in, and I just haven't been able to replace it. But right now I'm using a Pioneer Elite SC95, and as I stated before, I haven't been too happy with this. It works. Obviously, it's got Dolby Atmos, it's got DTS:X. It does not have HDR pass-through. This was like one of the first receivers that came out right before HDR came out. So it's kind of weird. Sometimes it works. Sometimes I think it allows me to get HDR pass-through, but then sometimes it acts kind of funny. So that's one of the issues with it. And then another issue that I have with it is whenever I try to bring up the GUI, the graphical user interface, and do like if I need to go into the settings, it's hit or miss. Sometimes it won't come up at all, and I have to either reset the receiver, not reset, but like turn it off, unplug the cable from the back of it, kind of like a hard reset. Or sometimes it'll show up, but it won't show up on the screen over what I'm watching, because you know it's supposed to have an overlay on what I'm watching. And then I'll have to basically look at the LCD screen on the receiver and try to, you know, look at the settings. It's super frustrating. So I've had issues with it, but you know, when it's working, it's working, and it's served me well. There could be worse, but I'm using that as my receiver. And then I have an Oppo BDP 103 Blu-ray player. Old, but it's still a tank. Honestly, I don't even use this thing, but I don't want to get rid of it, because to me, Oppo players are the best Blu-ray players that I've ever used. And I know that they're selling on Amazon and eBay for outrageous prices, but I'm gonna keep mine for now. So I have that. It does Blu-ray, it does 4K upscaling, and it does 3D. So my TV is still 3D, and I'll get to that in a second. So I also have a Roku Ultra up here. I have, I'm using a Logitech Harmony remote. This one, I forget what the model number is on this one, but it's not the Elite. The Elite I have in my home theater. So I'm using that. And then pretty much I'm just using my TV. So this is an older Bravia TV XBR line. This is from like 2013, I think. I don't remember the model number, but I'll try to put that up on screen. I'll try to look it up. So I'll put that up there. So my speakers, I have just a 3.1 setup. I'm using a Polk. I forget. These speakers are old. I've had these speakers probably about 10 years. I believe these are Polk monitors. I don't remember. They're the towers. They're the next step up from the bookshelf speakers, which I sold. I used to have the bookshelf speakers, but I'm using those as my left and right, and then I'm using a Polk center channel, and I'll look up the model number on that. And then for my subwoofer, I have an HSU STF-1. Very old subwoofer. You can't even buy that anymore, but don't be fooled. That's an 8-inch woofer. Do not be fooled by HSU products, especially that little beast right there. That thing hits really hard. That was the first like high-end subwoofer that I had ever bought. Besides, you know, because before that I had a home theater in a box setup. that was the first separate subwoofer that I had ever bought, and I love HSU. One of my subs in my theater is an HSU, but I had that in my bedroom at my parents' house, and my parents were always banging on the door, super annoying, because they were like, hey, turn that bass down. Like that thing hits. Even in here, even in an open space, it's in a corner, but even in here, like it hits pretty hard. So I'm happy with that. I'm probably just gonna keep that for now. I don't wanna, I don't really need to put another subwoofer out here. It's so open. I would have to get a very large subwoofer to even maximize the type of space that I have here. And you can probably hear it. It's really echoey in here. I don't have any acoustic treatment at all. That's something that I do want to do at some point, but it's not important. So what I want to do is I want to show you where I want to add speaker placements. All right, so I've got my floor speakers, my LCR, and what I want to do is I want to add 2 height channels in the ceiling. Probably, obviously it's going to be in the middle of my seating. You can't see it, but there's a sofa right in front of me. So I want to put 2 speakers mounted, because it's going to be too hard for me to put in wall, because I'm going to have to run the cable up through the wall, up through the ceiling, and there's a restroom right behind me, right back there. So that's gonna be super difficult. And then trying to get up in the attic and run that, I'll have to, drill through the fire lick that's halfway up the wall. I don't have to do any of that. So I'm just gonna get some wire, some speaker cable, and I haven't figured out how I'm gonna do the cable management yet. I might get some of those, I forget what they're called, but you can hide the cables in them. It's got like a little track that you can paint them. They come white, they might come black, but you can paint them. So I may do that, or I may get some, clear little tracks to put on. I haven't decided that yet, but I'm gonna put the Atmos speakers 2 in the ceiling, and then over here on the wall, I wanna put another speaker. So this will be my left surround. And then over there on that wall would be my right surround. So again, it's not an ideal space, but I have to work with what I have. And you might be in the same situation. You may have a similar setup, or you may have an open floor plan where you can't put the speakers where you want them, or you can't put the speakers where they ideally should be. And you just have to work with what you have. And you can still maximize your space if you do the correct research, if you buy the right speakers, or if you already have speakers. Like I talked about before, maybe you don't have a complete speaker line that are timber matched yet, and you want to save up and buy the speakers that you want in the future. Just use what you have. It's not gonna be the end of the world. It's not gonna be a bad thing if your speakers aren't timber matched. You may hear the difference depending on how good your hearing is, but just get it started. Just do it. Get an idea of what you want, and then just go from there. You don't have to not do anything because you've been told that you shouldn't do that. You can still get a great experience with a mix of speakers, which I'm gonna do. So this is my setup in the living room. Again, nothing fancy. I hardly ever use it, but when I do use it, I notice that the quality is not as good as it should be, and I end up focusing on that more. So I just wanted to give you guys just a basic idea of what I'm working with, my setup, the issues that I'm gonna have. Like I said, I've got, an open doorway here, so that's gonna make it hard for me to run cable management. It's not gonna be that bad, but it's just not gonna look that great. So I'm gonna have to figure out something to do so that it doesn't just look, like there's just wires all over the place. I want it to look neat, and I want it to be, presentable. And then on the other side, and I also have to remember too, I have cats. So I have to think about that so that they don't get into the wiring and all that stuff. So it's gonna be a fun project. It's gonna take a while, but I am going to keep you guys updated. And if you want to follow the series, this is gonna probably be episode 1. But if you guys wanna follow the series, then please make sure that you like and subscribe. My next goal is 1,000 subscribers. I'm right at 500, but I need to get to 1,000 subscribers, and it would really help me out if you guys like and subscribe and hit the bell notification so you know when I post new videos. So I'm gonna end this video here. That's gonna conclude this video. Thank you for watching. As always, I'll see you in the next video. I'm Haterade Cowboy, and this is Haterade Cowboy Cinema.